Right, guys. So, welcome to the day 2 of this 6 days training. All right. So, in the last teaching, we talked about the institutional frameworks, the elements to a trade setup. Right. We talked about the consolidation. Talked about the retracement, the expansion, and then the reversal. All right. So, that video is very important because you have to identify where the market currently is. All right. So you don't want to be trading the consolidation market. All right. You want to be waiting for the market to show its hand. That is why I've been telling you guys that you guys should stay away from gold. Like at the time of recording this, today is the 17th of June, 2023. So I want you guys to recall that I've been telling you guys to avoid gold because why gold has been in its consolidation phase, right? So I don't want to go to gold charts now because it's going to make whatever I plan to do to disappear, right? So now that being said, now when we have understood the framework, right, we understand what uh, we should be looking for based on the framework perspective, then we have to now talk about market structure, right? I know this is something that some of you guys already know, some of you guys will find it familiar, but just be patient enough to listen to what is going to be taught here because the purpose of this call is to put all the missing all the pieces of the puzzle together, right, and possibly establish what is missing in the puzzle. All right. So I'm going to talk about institutional market structure. All right. So like I've always told you guys that when you are when you are done, for example, if we have a consolidation now, right, and then the market is done in that box-like movement, right? Once the market start expanding from that consolidation, so that will now brings us to what we call the trending market, right? So we are only interested in this, the market giving this expansive movement here, expand, retrace, expand, retrace. So we usually find that so the market is in a consolidation, it will usually expand, maybe come back to the other block inside that consolidation, and then it starts expanding, making a series of higher highs and higher lows, and the reverse for a bearish situation. All right. So now this expansive phase is what brings us to what we call market structure, and this is where we want to be trading. We want to be trading when the market is doing what's expanding and what's retracing, right, or expanding and what's reversing. All right, that's where we're interested because this expansion is a proof that smart money has gotten involved in the market. So if you're just watching this video, or maybe you're starting from this particular video, I would encourage that you go and watch the first part of this teaching. This is part 2. So you have to go and watch that one before you can come over to this so you can understand what I'm talking about. Because I'm not going to go over what I've already talked about from the beginning. Right? I'm just giving in broader details, right? So this is what we want to spot first. Once the market consolidates and then once the market expand and then giving us our trendy movement. So that trendy movement is where we incorporate what we call market structure. Note, you don't incorporate market structure inside a range because the market is not really giving you a direction. But when the market is expanding, it's giving you what an indication the market is willing to do was go bullish or go bearish. Now, one thing I did not note in the previous call is that sometimes when market is in a range, you will really see market, drop down, right, to trip stops in the range. Like you see market do something like this, go down a bit to trip stops before expanding over another. So sometimes the market does not just break out to the direction it wants to break out. Sometimes it's going to be in that range movement, then it will, trip stops, like trip stops below the range, tripping those that are breakout artists, right? The breakout players, trip them in and then start expanding to the higher point. So the market will likely do this. So the market is really bullish. This is what it likely do. It will range and then create one manipulative leg below the consolidation before doing what? Before expanding to where it intends to go. Right? This is what the market really looks like. Right. So you usually find the consolidation, the manipulation, then what? The expansion. So it's really a manipulative phase, although it does not occur all the time, and we're not really trading that. We're not really trying to trade this. Once the market give us a willingness to move before we get involved, right? But there are some of you guys that are very well versed in the market and you can still, go for this. No, enter during the manipulation and then hope for the expansion. But me, I like to see the market give me its hand, give me a clear indication that it wants to do, go bullish. Now, during points in which I will use this is when the market has um the market has has finished the market has expanded, given the first expansion, right? And then it now starts was consolidating again. The market can also consolidate again, all right, and then give us what that small manipulation again, and then do what, expand again to the upside, right? So this is why I cannot get involved in this because I have seen that the market is was willing to go up, right? So we can say, okay, the market has given the first consolidation. They will see that small manipulation before was the expansion. Then I'm seeing another consolidation looking like what? Looking like what I have there. All right, I want you guys to understand this. So this consolidation is looking like what I have here, right? Give me an indication that the market might want to trip up more buyers before moving, right? So you might want to trip up more buy stops, sorry, sell stops before they was moving up or up. So this can also be a money. Market can consolidate again, come down, possibly coming to the midpoint of this order of this. This is the midpoint, right? Right. You can sometimes just kind of manipulate a bit, consolidate and now manipulate a bit to hit that other block that was created inside the consolidation. Remember that you want to watch the previous video to get a better understanding of this. So my trip up the uh, the individuals that are trying to still go long here, trip them up and then was move. So this is how the markets move based on an institutional level. Usually find the markets consolidate, then give a kind of manipulation and then move the other direction. So if you understand the power of three, this is basically what it looks like. You see the accumulation of orders, the manipulation, then what, the distribution of the original what intended direction. All right. So now we understand that we are interested in what, the expansion and what, the retracement. The market will expand and retrace. This can likely be the higher low and then the higher highs. Markets, what does it look like? So markets, can you see higher low, a higher high, a higher low, and then a higher high. So this is what the markets looks like based on market structure. If you're looking at it from based on the framework perspective, then you understand what the market is doing. All right. So now let's talk about market structure. Now, like I always tell you guys, market structure is simply the skeletal system of the market, right? What makes up the skeletal system of the market, right? So now, in every market, we have basically two kinds of structure. I have a bullish market or a bearish market, right? And I don't want to start going all over that on the beginning again. We already know that in a bullish market, the markets create what we call series of higher highs and higher lows, right? So the market makes one is bullish. Let me make this a bit thick so you can see it better. Our market makes higher highs and then higher lows, right? So when the market is making what, higher highs and higher lows, and I've told you guys that there are certain rules I use to know which at exact high is the higher high and which exact low is the higher one. The first rule I told you guys is that the higher high must create. So let me just calculate again. So there's still that the higher low must create a higher high before, right, being considered higher high, a higher low. Sorry. So what do I mean? I told you guys that the higher low, this is an institutional framework now. So this higher low must create a higher high before I can call this a higher low. So this low must create a higher high before you can consider it what, a higher low. Right? Like I said, the low must create a higher high before being considered what, a higher low. So this potential higher low, right? So the potential higher low must create a higher high before you can consider what, a higher high. All right, so you have to note that. So this potential higher low must create a higher high before you can call what, a higher low. So now what happens when the market is looking like this? Market is something like this. Now, look at this very carefully. Which of them is the higher low? Remember that the potential higher low must create a higher high before consider a what, higher low. So between these two lows, which one is the higher low? This or this? It's obviously what? This one. Because this was the low. Remember that it must be a low. You're right. You're looking at the lowest low before was the high. So it was this low that really made this high and not this low. Right? So this is the low you're considering because it is the lowest point before what the market made a high. So I think I should also write that as well. So I think I should just copy this and then post it again. Now let me just put a second point. So a potential higher low must be the lowest, right? Understand this. The lowest low before a higher high. All right. So a potential low, higher low must be the lowest low before a new higher high. So when you're looking at higher highs and higher lows, you're looking at the lowest low before a new higher high. So in this potential situation, this is internal liquidity, and then this is the higher low, right? So look at this is your higher low, this one here. All right. So that's what you consider as a higher low, not this one here, right? The reason is that the market it would likely do this. Take out this as what internal liquidity and then come to mitigate this and then move higher. Right, so this can be internal liquidity. So we're not looking at this as our higher low. It's not our reference point, right? So the market can, trip up this and then move out. So you have to look at the lowest point before a new higher. That is where smart money will likely do was get involved because smart money they are hedging, so they can buy here, but their original position is where down here, right? That is where they want to mitigate before moving price overall. So they might just close when the market gets here and then move. So they are kind of generating what liquidity or internal liquidity for you. So in the next video, I'll talk about liquidity details. But let's understand what I'm talking about. So the market structure must be concerned from this perspective. The market must, take out, make it this lowest low before a high. And the reverse is for a sell case scenario, right? Now let's kind of give it. So whatever goes up problems and so a potential lower high. In this scenario, we just use lower high, right? So this is for a bearish condition. Let me just copy this. All right, let me just edit it. So for a bearish scenario, the potential lower high must go to lower low before being considered what a lower high. Right, it's just the reverse, right? And then the potential lower high must be the highest high before a new or lower low. So just the reverse for a bearish conditions, for a bearish condition, right? So this is what I'm looking at when I'm talking about market structure. I'm looking at what the lower highs and then the lower lows from this perspective. So it must be it must create what a lower low before we call it what a lower high, and then it must be the highest points, right, before the market makes a new low, right? So that has high view market. So that means even if you have something like this, if the market does something like the market is moving downwards, the market does something like this, does something like this, and then does something like this. Where is your lower high? Where is the highest point the market got to before they was creating was a lower low. So this is not a lower high, this is internal liquidity. This is not internal liquidity. So if you're drawing your range or all of those stuff, so you're looking at what this highest point, that is your trading range, the highest points created, and then what this is because of trading range. You don't look at any of these highs before, look at the highest high before what this counterparty move. All right, so that is how I view market structure. All right. So I think we can take out all this and then we can talk more. So now we've understood higher highs and higher lows. We have to also understand what the institutional understanding of what breakout structures. Right. So breakout structure is simply when the market violates the last lower high in a bearish condition or the last higher low in a bullish condition. Right. So I think I should just delete all this. So when we're talking about breakout structure, we're referring to the market changing from being bullish to bearish. Because I told you guys when the market is expanding, all right, it's giving what that heavy move, right? So the market has since consolidated, you're seeing what the expansion, right? So how you know the market is done with giving that downward movement? So the market will do what? It will take out what? The last lower high. And I've told you guys what the lower high is. The basic two rules I used to classify a lower high. And it was make a lower low and it must be the highest high that price got to before making a lower low. Now, for a market to remain bearish, the market should not violate the last lower high. So when the market violates the last lower high, right, on a body to body perspective, what do I mean? This is a body to body perspective now. right? On a body to body perspective, right? So this gives us what we call the break of structure or the change of character. So the market, when the market is able to close, note we use the body to body for our break of structure because why? The volatility or most of the liquidity is at the body of the candle, right? So we use the body to body violation BOS, right? Price should clearly close. All right. So what do I mean? If the market is bullish, once the market was clearly close above the last lower high, you're losing the body, not the wicks. Right? The wicks do the damage, while the body does the holds the volatility, right? Why the wicks does the damage. So once the price clearly close above it, right? Once the market displays that high very clearly, right? It's not like when the market, just give one small wick and then no. Once the market clearly displace that high, and then we cannot call it was a break or structure. And when this happens, we cannot shift from being bullish to bear. So when this happens, most times the market will consolidate down here, right? Manipulate below. Understand what I'm talking about? The market like do this, consolidates down here. Understand this? Understand? I want you guys to get this. It might consolidate down here, manipulate below, right? And then break structure. So now you're having what? A counterparty what? Consolidation. So you see the market consolidates, take out store and then what? Break it upside. So when you see this might be a sign the market wants to do what? Want to shift from being bearish to being what? Bullish. Then when the market does this, then you can look out for what? The reference point made by the range. Maybe that could be the 50% of it. So you can maybe draw your whatever there and then watch the market to come back there and that gives you more bites. Market hits that, maybe that, and then continue going higher, right? So basically you're looking at for when you're looking for bullish markets, right? So when the market closes above the last lower high, that gives us what? Our BS. And the reverse is the case for a bearish condition. The market is bullish. Once the market clearly violates what? The last higher low before doing what? You come back for a higher high. Now, notice this. When you're trading with a higher time frame or the institutional perspective, I've told you guys, stop trying to buy to sell or sell to buy. You wait for the market to come back to your institutional reference point before doing anything. You're not trying to catch this buy and then buy back to your no, because the market can trip you out. The market can, that's if it wants to buy, maybe play off this support and then trip you out before it was coming back to retest. What the market has done is that the market has done what has created what internal liquidity because some people will see this as an opportunity to do what to go short. The market is coming back here. They're like, okay, double top, and the market will was take them out and then was come back to what the original was institutional reference point. So you have to be very careful with buy to sell. The market can do this. When you turn to buyers, not take you out and then finally do what go back to that original sell standpoint. And some of you are not informed. We see this as a break of structure again. Why? Because market took out this high. But know that this high was what originally was internal liquidity. So in the next video, I'm talking about internal liquidity in details. So I only consider a higher high or a higher low that mitigates off an original reference point. So I'm not really considering this particular low, this high here. I'm considering this higher one because why? There's an additional what framework supporting what the seller is. But here there was not really any point. Just maybe this retail support and all that, right? So you want to see markets come back to your original reference point and then give you what your confirmation for what your sales, right? So you have to take these things. I'm just giving you guys the snippet because I could not do a slide because the slide will keep me slow. Because slide when you're using slides, it kind of restricts you to what you type in the in the slideshow, right? But when it comes to reach out, you're giving that freedom to talk about a lot of things at once, right? That's why I opted not to use slides for this teaching because market structure is very deep, right? When we go start to talk about liquidity, I'm like, go back to the slide because liquidity is something you really need to understand word for word, all right? So now we understood all this, right? So now the same thing also, market is you can create this force. Some of you that like to sell everything, you go and begin to sell it, market will take care and finally what come back to what the original was institutional reference points, right? So we consider the body to body for break or structure. I can compress the idea of consolidation, manipulations, and then expansions, right? So now when you have this, You're looking for one market to come back to either your reference point, or maybe you have, if you have a fair value gap or an imbalance, right? It must not always come to the constitution initially. It can still play off imbalance, right? Market must not always come to that, another either it can play off an imbalance, maybe an imbalance around there or a liquidity void there. Can just play off this, and then give you what more buys, right? So these are the things I'm looking at when I'm looking at what market structure. But I want to just make this call very brief so you guys can understand what I'm really talking about, right? So now I've explained what you're looking at for on the body to body perspective and the week. You know, look at the week for BOS, look at what the body to body. So now we just see this. This is a do and don't of market structure. But this is something I've observed as a lot of guys do when it comes to market structure. They do this a lot. Now, the market is bearish. The market tends to create what we call liquidations. So you can see the market, something like, oh my God, why is it doing that? Let me try again. When the market is bearish, you can tell that the market do something like this. Take out the high and then, oh my God, why is it not responding as I want to? So now when the market is bearish, you can see the market doing what? Give a kind of forced takeout of the high, further what? Going short. Now, what really causes this? The market gives a false break of structure and then reverses lower. Now, note this. Now, when the market is bearish, you should pay attention to the kind of break of structure that you have. You want to make sure that BOS did not go to mitigate an order block or an imbalance. So once the market give a very clear break, knows that the market will take out this high and then go to mitigate maybe a supply zone here or an imbalance above it. So that's why I usually I don't like to see an imbalance above my lower high because the market might decide to fill it. So this now becomes what a liquidation and not a break of structure. Note, a BS should be very dynamic. Market should, if you want to consider this as a BS, the market should break it very clearly. Just take out everything to give you what a full trustable break of structure, right? When the market is mitigating off an imbalance, an order block, or something at this point here, this might just be a liquidation. And I usually catch this kind of trades. So the market is heavy bearish. The market will tend to leave up spaces above for further mitigation. The market is going to create some kind of false lower high here and then come back to mitigate that original order block or that original imbalance before they was going short. So in this kind of opportunity, as a smart money minded trader, you're looking for what short opportunities here instead of buys because why there is something above here, and you have also know that you have to have maybe liquidity, maybe there's something like a liquidity pool down here. Maybe have relatively equal lows here, kind of slightly equal low, and then the market does this. This can be a very beautiful idea to do to sell into. Like you guys understand better when I talk about tomorrow's lecture, which is what liquidity. I'll talk about liquidity in detail, so you guys understand what I'm talking about. So just understand this main takeaway that the market, not every violation of a lower high is a break of structure, right? You must tell us where the price is breaking at and where the market is coming from. So now maybe if the market came off maybe an order block below here, okay, this is actually a BUS. The market hit an order block down here, and then the market is not maybe a higher time for another block, and the market ran all the way up because okay, that might be a BUS, right? You're going to see the market is breaking from and broke at. So is it coming from an institutional reference point to break, or is it just a random break? So you want to see where the market is coming from. If maybe there is something on the high time frame here, right, and the market comes to break now. Now this might be what a valid break. I want the market to take out this high very clearly. So even if there's an order block here, or an imbalance, or a breaker block, or a smart money cube, or any of those stuff we use, right? This cannot be a valid break. But when the market is not really hitting anything, right? It's not really indicating of anything. You might have to be very, very suspicious of those kind of break of structure, right? So I just want to give you guys a crude depiction of all this. So notice that. So when the market is breaking from, you don't want the market to be breaking from an order block, right? Or an imbalance. Something like play in those areas. All right. So now this is a real chart depiction of what I'm talking about. All right. So this is the market was kind of giving us a kind of bearish move here. And what happened there? The market was broke. So you had that break of structure right here. Market breaking back bullish, right? And can you see the market gave I told you guys about? Can you see? The market's consolidated first. Can you see the consolidation? The market now did what? It's now gave that manipulation down before doing what? Before breaking what structure. Can you see what I'm talking about? So you can see the market consolidate, give that manipulative leg, and then what? Expand. So this is the expression you're looking at for. So if you saw this, then you have maybe caused this buy, and then maybe you have targeting was this old high, maybe this old level here. So if you bought down here, someone like him, I'm targeting either this old high here, or targeting what this imbalance. Because this is where price will reject us. So if you are buying down here, this can be your first take profit. Because you can see that it's kind of retail support there. You can take your first profit there, and then maybe this imbalance, or you can just take the just at the other block here. All right, so this was a very beautiful buy opportunity if you are higher time frame bullish, right? So that's why the market consolidated, made a manipulative leg, and then was rally higher. All right, can see another one. The market was kind of consolidating around there. What happened? The market broke the consolidation, came back to the other block inside that. Remember, I told you guys that the market expands, so you're looking at other block when it created after the break. So the market consolidated here, came back to that other block, and what happened? It's rallied up, right? So you can see the market has been taking a liquidity here. So you can see the market took out this low before the what breaking up. So market gave a kind of false BOS here. Notice what's happening, right? The market gave a kind of false break or structure here. Like this false break. Can you see it? Some people like, okay, that's broken strong. But look at what's happening on the higher time frame. Look at it's coming forward. That higher order block. So can you see why you don't consider everything as a BOS? So imagine that you went and you are selling this. Maybe you're getting some first profit here, but the market came back here to this institutional reference point, which was also at this other block. We have two other blocks. We have this first one, we had the second one here. And what happened? The market would have taken you out and then rallied higher. So you can see the market is taking out lows and then rallying higher. So you can see another consolidation here. So the market consolidates around there. What happened? The market wicked down below and then was broke above, still wicked down a bit and then still came back to what that old other block and then was rallied higher because other blocks can be tested several times. But the market can test on other blocks severally. I will talk about other blocks in detail as we continue in this discourse. But just understand the main takeaway that the market needs to break high and close above it before you can consider what I thought as what your break or structure. All right. So I think that I'm wrapping up with this call right here. So can you see how this one's pan out very nicely? Look at GBP. Can you see how it is playing out? So look at that consolidation here again. The market did not really manipulate here. You can see the expansion. The market finally came, took out the lows by a bit. This is the manipulation leg, and then what? The market rallied higher. You can see the market is doing this things, right? You can see that consolidation here. The market expands, kind of weak down the bit below, and then you can see the further movement, right? Because the market has been creating some kind of false break or structure. The market will give a false break and then break back bullish and all of that, right? So look at it here. Look at it here. So the market broke bearish here, right? It was a bearish break here. Okay. Now we look at where the market is breaking from. Where did the market break from? Right? It broke and made what? Another block. Can you see that? It broke bearish and then it made another block below here and still came kind of lower time frame break here. The market did that false break. This was what we call a liquidation. So this whole move down was a liquidation. Market liquidated these lows, broke back bullish down here, and the market came out to retest it. Can you see another consolidation here? Can you see what I'm talking about? Market consolidated again around there. What happened there? It wicked below it and then do what? It wicked below to do what? To hit this other block properly and then what? Rally higher. Can you see how this is happening with market structure? So this is how the Saturn is viewing market structure. When the market consolidate, wick below, and then expand away from that point, right? So the market expanded around there, came back to the middle of that other block here. So market expanded here, came back to retest it, and then what? Rally higher. So this is basically what I'm teaching you guys about. The market is giving you that willingness to be bullish. The market liquidated that, broke above that, came back to the midpoint of what? That's constitution and what? It's really higher. So this is how you should be viewing markets based on what? The institutional level. All right. So I think this call has been overstretched. So I think I should wrap up here and then we'll talk about liquidity in details and we'll still expand more on market structure as we proceed in this training, right? So if you find this insightful, do want to share with your friends and don't miss tomorrow episode of this particular training, right? So see you guys in the next training.